Before you become a coach, can you dive into how was it for you to being playing by your own?
Man, I guess I started playing when I was 7, and at first I remember my dad telling me that I was just a shy kid, and I was too shy to play with other kids. I would play by myself, and it was like one of those things as a kid, right? I guess, a little bit socially anxious to be playing with other kids, but I think he said when I turned 7 is when I just said, you know what, this is what I want. Put me in a team. And like that's when I guess it just clicked in my little brain. And ever since then, man, I've been playing, played throughout club here in like the Dallas, Texas area, North Texas area, which is, I would say, quite competitive in the US. Um, Played recreationally. That's where I started to understand like the different levels of the game here. And I was able to then jump onto a competitive team. Was lucky enough to earn a scholarship to play afterwards in college. Had a great experience after my 4 years, jumped on as a coach. So that's kind of like a quick summary of how
Mm.
my whole soccer career went. But obviously, I'm happy to dive into details on specifics of all that. But yeah, that's essentially the soccer career, played Division 1 soccer. Um, Coached at the collegiate level as a grad assistant, and now just coaching FC Dallas, doing my own trainings, and then working as an academy scout.
Nice, nice. There's a lot of things where I want to personally deep down. And let's start first of all with like which kind of things you learned about yourself when you were playing over the years.
I think I learned heavily that I rely quite a bit more on positive reinforcement than I thought I did. And the reason I say that is because there comes a point where like I had this one coach right when I was about 13, 14, where I started to realize that was non-existent. From like 13 under, good job. Yes, like a lot of the positive reinforcement. And then it turned almost into positive punishment. And for me, that's where it just clicked differently. Like I could feel myself playing a little bit more anxious and a little bit more scared at that time. And I started realizing like, okay, that's when I started to realize the mental aspect of the game. And it was a shocker. But at the same time, it was something that really intrigued me because then I started to ask myself, like, why do I feel like this? And then you don't know because you're a kid. So I would get frustrated. Like, why am I feeling like this? Why do I feel, these anxious feelings and all this? But I think those are the moments that I started to like really understand the mental piece and how important it was to be mentally strong and present. Like
Mm.
presence was the biggest thing that I've learned was like the catalyst to any success that I've had is just like whenever you are present, that is what has helped me, whether when I was playing, coaching, whatever the case may be. Um, because as soon as I was able to kind of handle that exterior, that style of coaching, which it was difficult. I actually had to step away from that team, go to a different
Mm.
team, and then mentally be able to be more present. It helped me kind of steer me into the direction I wanted to go into, and then fortunately enough, get some recognition. I wouldn't say I was the best player, I'll be honest. I I always was like the hard work mentality, just work hard, perform. But from a technical standpoint, there was definitely players better than me, including my own little brother, who like he technically he's top, man. But I take pride in like the fact that I taught him. But as a kid, it was mostly just like work hard, learning things as I go, coming from a family that liked soccer, but as fans,
Mm.
because it's different, right? Whenever you're in a family that has played it versus a group or an environment that treats it more like a side thing, a fan thing, you know. But all in all, man, it's the experience of just understanding and growing and knowing yourself. And I think that's been the biggest thing that I can take away from like my youth soccer journey was just understanding myself, understanding how to be present, um, understanding a lot of mental battles, a lot.
Mm.
So yeah.
That's like really incredible because like when I look back in my career, like at very young age, I had also like the frustration because like you have this feeling, but you don't understand like why I feel like this. How did you deal at this moment? Because like at this time, I didn't know how to deal it, and like how did you do it?
Um, I think as players, you tend to kind of like shove it down a little bit when you're a player because you're like, oh, well, you want to play, you don't want to think about these things, like just like tuck it away in your mind, right? Don't think about it. And I think that was my approach at first, right? It was a lot of like pushing it away, hiding it away. But then because I was doing that, I could see that it would show in other parts of my life, right? So I would start to maybe be like resentful, right?
Mm,
Maybe just not be entirely grateful for situations, maybe blame others, right? So it was a little bit of like I lacked the self accountability because I didn't want to accept or acknowledge like my own mental battles because I was like, it's not
mm,
me, it's them, it's the coach, it's the player, it's my dad, right? Like it's everybody else but me. And it's like, oh man, I think the moment I took my own accountability on that, I think I was a little bit older. Um, More so in my college, actually COVID year is when I started to really, really understand and I took accountability and I was like, you know what? No more excuses. That COVID summer when everything shut down was like the perfect time for me to just like learn about myself because no distractions. And I remember like that's probably the biggest moment when I took like my playing career and everything into my own accountability. And I just shot up in terms of like confidence, technical ability. And it's not even that I was like training differently. It was like I just had a different perspective and that
mm.
it changed me entirely.
Mm, amazing. Like, and it's also strong to see that you took the responsibility of your own action because there are so many people they never take it, and at one point it's too late. What would you say like back then? Let's say you could give yourself advice. Which kind of advice would you give to take the responsibility much faster?
Man, that's a great question. I think the advice I would give my younger self would be just to ask myself before, whenever I felt any negative feeling, just like taking a step back and ask yourself, like, what could you have done differently? Instead of like immediately thinking about what happened, what did this person do to you? What did this do? What did this happen? Like, how could I have responded differently? How could I have reacted differently? Um, and I think that would be the biggest thing is like just telling myself, like, what could you have done better? Because that takes away the control of everybody else. And it's like I couldn't control those things, but I wanted to so bad as a kid. I wanted to so bad. But when I was able to just like bring it back to me, it's like, okay, this happened. What can we do about it? This happened. What can we do about it? That would be like the biggest advice I would give myself, my younger self at least.
Mm,
I
yeah,
still give
strong.
my I give myself that same advice now, honestly. So yeah, nothing's changed.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. It's like I think like life is like lifetime learning. Like you never reach a point where you say, "Okay, I'm finished now." It's like always learning about yourself and like going into the inner child and trying to heal them with different things. How is it right now, like as a coach? You mentioned you're coaching FC Dallas and you have your own players. How did your approach is to these players?
Um, yeah, I think now I've approached it in a much more intentional way where I think about how everything that I say can have an impact, even the littlest things. So even the littlest interactions. Um, One thing that I noticed as a kid, when it's one coach against what, 20 kids, it's easy for one kid to feel isolated or not important. So one thing that I really try to take pride on is making sure every kid gets attention individually. And it's not, maybe it's not every practice, but it's, maybe this practice, these three kids, I talk to them a little bit more. This practice, these three kids, I'll talk to them a little bit more, right? But just making them feel valued as people
Mm,
above just soccer players. And I think that when you bring that value, it really helps them shine in confidence outside of the field as well, honestly. Like it helps to feel important to other people. And I think the biggest thing is, well, for me, aside from that, has been teaching players how to be present and how to be constructive. Because a lot of people want to criticize themselves, right? And I
mm,
think that's like the second stage is like after you take accountability, how do you be constructive with your own criticism? So every time with the player, it's like, okay, you messed up. Like, what's next? How do we fix? How do we fix? It's
mm,
very thought-provoking approach that I have now, where I give that back to one of my youth coaches, that kind of taught me that a little bit later in my career when I was maybe 17, 16, 17. Like he had that approach and it just clicked for me because it was the opposite of what I was used to. It was like you make a mistake, punished. You make a mistake, you're pulled out of the game. You make a mistake, you're yelled at, you're ridiculed, right? And that can be something that you associate making mistakes with terrible outcome. Whereas
mm,
make a mistake, you need to have constructive outcome, constructive realizations of like where the solutions can be. So I think with my approach now, that's the approach. Constructive, positive reinforcement, and just being mentally present. And I think that's the biggest thing for me. And then those are the biggest things that I try to bring in into my style of coaching, into my style of training with my own clients that I do train as well. Above all else, just trying to be a good person. I think faith has a lot to do with that as well. And that's something that I felt like I discovered more within this past year or two is being closer to faith. And I think that gives you a bigger purpose that's above soccer to be able to connect and help kids. Because at the end of the day, we're mentors. And as a mentor, you want to make sure you set them up for life as good people, as people with good values, good characteristics, morals, and whatnot. So those are things I really try to take pride in, no matter the age, no matter the level. Like that's the baseline is like create good people. So I think that would be probably my main approach.
mm. Wow. I like this sentence, like that at the end we are mentors and we want to teach them for life. Because I have sometimes the feeling that like coaches, um, they are they don't think about how much impact the things can have for the players for the future, not only just the game but like the confidence level. And I have so many players, they are speaking about like, yeah, I had this one coach and he destroyed my career and he was like so bad. And it's like, and they are almost 35, 40, and they like, it was so big impact. And I think that's an amazing approach.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing there has been like for me, once I started to understand the impact that I was left with from maybe good coaches and bad coaches, I kind of wanted to choose. Okay, I remember this person for these reasons. I remember this coach for these reasons. Like, what do I want to be remembered for? Because at the end of the day, like they're going to look up to you. They're going to think of you as somebody who's like a teacher, right? It's if anything probably more impactful than a teacher, right? In school, because a lot of the kids like they care about it. They're so passionate about this. Um, so I try to make sure like yes, especially with the youth ages, that to me is the focus. Kids must develop a strong, like constructive growth mindset where they're not scared to make mistakes. Like baseline number one, does not matter about results, does not matter about playing time. It's like these kids need to have a growth mindset from an early age. That way, when they're older and the results start mattering more, that's where you can start impacting that side of the game. But when they're kids, man, like they're just sponges. That's all they are.
Mm,
And if a coach's ego gets in the way of creating that growth mindset, and it's like, oh, well, playing time. Oh, well, now my job is, at risk and I need to do well, which does happen. I mean, it's a part of the business, right? You have
mm,
coaches, and this is their livelihood. But I think especially with the younger ages, that's such an important baseline to make sure like that's always met is like teaching that first, and then everything else can come second.
mm. What would you say, like from your experience, what are the most common mental struggles young players have?
Oof. Making mistakes, just like how to adapt to making a mistake, not being too hard on themselves, um, and not taking it like you'll see a player make a mistake and they shut down. Oh, I'm terrible. It's like the world's ending, right? They ruminate on it, and they like you can't get them to stop thinking about it. It's
Mm,
crazy. You'll see a player like their whole, body language will change, and it's like, who taught you that? Like, where did you learn that? You know? Um, and us as coaches and mentors, like, how do you solve that? How do you help them solve that? How do you help them get out of that situation where, because it's going to show in other parts of their life as well, you
mm,
know? And that's like a big picture thinking. And maybe that's just like, my perception on things. But like it's going to show in other ways. And that's the biggest challenge. So when I see that, it's like, it almost feels selfish of a player to be so negative on themselves whenever they can have so much potential. They have so much
mm,
potential. It feels a little bit like they're being selfish to their core self, like their true self, their authentic self. You know what I mean?
mm,
Um, so I that's like, yeah, that's the biggest thing I've noticed.
mm. Yeah, that's a really important thing because I had the opportunity to see Lamine Jamal playing against Espanyol, and it was a derby. And in this game, they won the game and they won the league. And I watched him like almost the whole game and with laser focus. And I saw before he scored this beautiful goal, he did 10, 15 times lost the ball. Like he tried the same trick coming from the outside, inside, and shoot, but 15 times doesn't work out. He lose the ball. But he was dealing with the mistake completely different. He was like, no matter what, I try again, 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 again. And
Mhm.
then and now you just see the goal. Like you don't see the mistakes afterward. You just see the goals. And that's like crazy to see. Okay, he's so bold in his decisions and going after and after and after.
Yeah, it's just like having a crazy amount of self-belief. At the end of the day, like no matter what mistake you make, you're gonna get somebody's gonna criticize you. Somebody's gonna criticize you for any mistake. So yeah, like Lamine Yamal, I mean, for him to be able to do that, that shows. And then like, dude, he's 17, right? He just
Yeah,
turned 18, right?
yeah,
Like like that, he's just a mentality monster.
Yeah.
For him to be able to perform at that age, and he's been doing it since 15, like somebody like that, there has to be some type of case study because for him to be able to be that successful, that mature, that confident from that age, I mean, it's not normal. I mean, what's your takeaway there? I mean, like how does somebody that young even get to that point, would you say?
Mm. I think first of all, he's incredibly talented. Like body wise, physicality, technical, like unique person for sure. But the mental part, what I discovered, like we had in Real, we had some people who were from Barcelona, some professors, and they taught me that he grew up in a very hard neighborhood, like ghettos,
Mm.
and his father is all like now he's also involved in some kind of gang things, and it means like in very early age he was like in high pressure situations, like
Mm.
the calmness he brings out, it's like, yeah, I know the feeling, it's almost nothing, like. And that's like what I see, like incredible, because his father is like, he's very young but grew up in a tough area. And I think as a kid he had also always to experience these kind of high pressure situation, and was somehow he could deal it. And I think like it grows over, yeah, like in the childhood. How would you say, like for example, your players, and you see they have some stories and they develop much better than others, uh, regarding the child experience?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of the suffering. A player that suffered more, they just know more. And that's been the biggest thing. Like anybody that I've seen have like a crazy story where maybe they, you know, ACL injury, right? I think those types of moments, or maybe a financial situation, like it just clicks differently. It just goes from like you take it for granted to now it's like, oh, this was completely taken away from you. Like now it clicks differently. So I think even like to the point of Lamine Yamal, it's about the suffrage. And I think people need to suffer. And
Mm,
I've learned it myself. I need to suffer in any way that's, regarding to what exactly I'm trying to accomplish so I can grow, even in the outside, right? Just suffering and learning. It just makes your skin tougher and you're able to grow. And I think for me, I suffered at a young age. And that's why it kind of shaped me now because I felt that suffer and it kind of
mm,
and from a point I'm even grateful that I felt that suffering because without that I would probably be comfortable. I'd probably be like, okay, well, I'm good now. I've gone to play um collegiate level. I got a scholarship, like I'm happy with that, that's it. But you know I'm still hungry. I still want more. It's like what's next? I can still get more. I can still learn more. And so like having those little moments of like a big catalyst in your life, I think is important. Or even sometimes making one up.
mm,
Like just like pick a moment and just like stick to that moment. Be like that moment will shape me. Like this moment of doubt, this coach, this person. I think just pinpointing that for me has been something that I think is valuable because it allows you to kind of have a motive. And for me, it was
mm,
always in my head, I always had the motive. I want to prove this coach wrong. Everything I did to this day, prove him wrong, prove him wrong, prove him wrong. So that's been kind of like that suffrage piece that I think has helped me kind of just keep going, honestly.
mm. Like when I listen to your story, like I wonder like who was your mentor giving you like some kind of advices during the time, and like how did you become the person you are right now?
Um, I'll give him a shout out. His name is David Hoffman. He's probably been like one of my biggest mentors. Is he coached me after I had my experience and went through my suffrage. He was my coach, and I think at the time I didn't understand what he was trying to teach because he was like a complete opposite.
Mm,
My first experience in competitive soccer was it was hard. It was like stern, no mistakes. You make a mistake or like it just wasn't a great experience, right? And then from the opposite, it was like much more relaxed, much more like it's on you. And to me, I'm like feeling crazy because I'm like, why is this guy not yelling? Why is he not like going, 100 miles an hour? Like I feel like I need this. And it drove me crazy for the longest. But funny enough, after I finished my collegiate career, I played 4 years. Um, I was trying to keep playing. Things didn't work out. God had different plans. So I actually jumped back as an assistant coach, and I ended up being his assistant coach. So
Nice.
after 4 years, whatever, of like being disconnected, we come back. And this is back in 2021. And to this day, I see him every week. I coach with him. I learn from him. I grow from him. And I think it's so important to have somebody like that who gives you that thought provoked approach. And to me, it's been like the biggest value. And it's been the biggest mindset shift for me is like having somebody like that with so much wisdom and experience in the game that not only he coached me and I maybe didn't understand as a kid, but once I got older, then it all clicked. It was like, oh,
Mm,
this is why he's this way. This is why he does it this way. And I think it's a maturity thing, a growth thing that you start to learn. But since then, like I've been able to learn so much from. I think I model a lot of what I do from what he's taught me, if I'm being honest. So
mm.
sometimes I've been told I'm uh, like a mini version of him or something. I don't know. It's funny to hear, but it's great. I'm grateful for it because I think he's an amazing person. So
Uh, and that's also a good compliment, if you hear like, hey, you're some version of him, and when it's your mentor, it's like something it honors you also.
yeah, yeah, no, it feels good. I'm grateful for him. So yeah.
Yeah. Going back like to your own players, can you share maybe like a story from your player where you saw like the difference during the time and he changed mentally and also physically with your training?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I have one player who has he's had a journey. I'll put it that way. He has had quite the journey. Came to me technically struggling, like just struggling, right? Came to me hating to make mistakes. Okay. You make a lot of mistakes and you hate to make mistakes. Okay. Oh, like that is a lot, you know? Like, as a mentor, it's a lot. And it's like I tried my best to navigate that. And it all came down to me teaching him how to be more, again, reflective. Again, put the work in. Like, no
Mm,
matter what the situation is, if you just work your ass off and just develop the skill sets and train, you will get better by default. Like, and I always told them, like, build good habits, train, go kick a ball, make it a lifestyle, make it a habit, make it your personality. You will get better from the soccer side. And then it's going to help your mental side. You're making less mistakes.
mm,
You're getting better. You feel more confident. You're going to wear this confidence in different parts of your life. It's going to help you be more successful. It's like, I think soccer just becomes a gateway of like understanding the more time you invest into it, into one thing, the better the outcome. And that's not always, right? It's like an exception, but for the most part, like that's like the general rule of thumb that I like to follow is like the more work you put in one thing, the better the outcome will come out. And
mm,
like that's been his story because now that player that I've worked with for so long made a jump to a new team, improved the team. Technically, completely player. Confidence, different play, right? like everything shifted for him. So it's like now he went from like hates making mistakes, makes a lot of mistakes to still makes mistakes, but is more confident in what he
Mm,
does, right? Make like he's gonna make mistakes regardless, right? But now he has the tools to understand how could he fix a mistake? What could he do differently on a mistake? What happened? Because then it comes from maybe it's not no longer the technical standpoint. Now it's the tactical standpoint. Why are you
mm,
making mistakes tactically, right? Because both coincide with each other. You're going to make mistakes for different reasons. And now it's a little bit more of that tactical thing where you just have to understand as a player. And I think that's kind of like the next level of mistake making is understanding the technical, the tactical, how that goes into that avenue. That's been the biggest thing for him. And I think he's done exceptional and growing. And that's all you can ask. And that's all I can ask as his coach and his mentor is like he continues to want to learn. So,
mm.
yeah.
Amazing. How does you feel when you have like these kind of success
Bro,
stories, you know?
I get chills. I get chills, man. It's awesome. It makes me feel purposeful and it makes me feel like I'm doing good for others.
Mm,
Because for me as a young kid, I felt like I didn't have that. And the like again, the inner child, he heals a little bit more every time he sees another kid do well. Another kid get a scholarship, another kid get an opportunity to go pro, another kid to make a new team, another kid score a goal he's never scored before,
mm,
complete a pass he's never completed, do a skill move he's never done, he or she has never done, right? And like every time it's like, oh, it's like, yes, like I love the fact that you have somebody who is supporting you in this way because I know like the 13, 14-year-old self, myself, is grateful, grateful that somebody else has that and I can be that somebody else to them.
mm.
You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
It all, yeah.
What would you say, like you got a scholarship and you coach also players to achieve like the same pathway. Based on your experience, let's say there's a player right now struggling, don't know the structure, which kind of, let's say, three key points would you advise him to do? Like, all right, you're struggling and you need a scholarship, you want a scholarship, what you have to do. Here we go.
Um, from going to a university or anything like that, the biggest takeaways I would say baseline is academics, just having good academics, making sure you're on top of those things. And that's like before their senior year, right? So that junior year, like just making sure you're on top of it. Like school's not that hard. Just get the good grades and you'll be fine. Um, and secondly, I think having the confidence and the belief in yourself to approach a coach, to value yourself and to give yourself more value regardless of like who you're talking to, whatever coach. But also on the third thing is be able to back up that value, like do
Mm,
the work to back up the value, right? So I think it's like just be an executioner, which obviously getting done with your academics and all that, making sure that you have the confidence, making sure you can back up the confidence, I think is like my important things. And a lot of times, like I'll go to these combines, these players are going to go attend ID camps, and the player doesn't want to say anything to the coach. They're too shy. They're scared. They view the coach like, oh, he's superior or something. It's like, no, 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 no. You come introduce, like, you're the one that you should be in control of your destiny. Like, don't let anybody control it. Don't put it on somebody else's hands. Don't hope that they do it. Make them do it. Make the decision easy for them. And that's been the biggest thing. It's like, make the decision, no matter what, even if it's whatever the case may be. If you make the decision easy for a coach, they are going to gravitate towards you because you have all the answers.
Mm,
And if you can do that, then that's like done. It's a sealed deal. Like you'll go far.
nice. To summarize it, like from your perspective, which kind of, let's say, future paths are you going, and which kind of legacy is also for you important to leave behind?
Oh man, it's a lot. I think trying to be a good person every day, trying to wake up and make the right decisions and everything, right? As, somebody who tries to be close with their faith, somebody who tries to be close with their family, you know. I try to wake up, I try to make good decisions over bad decisions, and hope that every time I make those small things in big picture view, it'll help me get to becoming, you know, in my head, I'm thinking sporting director one day, right? I'm thinking somebody impactful in the game, but enjoying the journey. There's people that I can impact in everything that I'm doing, whether it's from a coaching piece, whether it's from the scouting piece, whether it's from being a mentor, working with players individually, like all these things. And yes, my ultimate goal will be up here, but I think before that ultimate goal, I want to just be able to impact and help as much as I can to people that want the help.
Mm,
Because
amazing.
if you want the help, I think you need it. You deserve it. If you want the help, I want to be the one to help you. So I think that's my biggest thing.
Nice. Yeah, thank you, Casey. Like I follow your work, and in my opinion, you're doing like amazing things and helping people, being a good mentor, and knowing today much deeper about you, about your story reminds me also like what are my takeaways, like we are all mentors and we're preparing these kids for life, and let's be a good person. Thank you, man.